French President Emmanuel Macron met his Israeli counterpart Isaac Herzog in Jerusalem. Macron said he stands in solidarity with Israel in its fight against terrorism. Earlier, the French president met with the families of the victims of the Hamas attack. Macron is scheduled to meet Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu today. He is also expected to call for the preservation of the civilian population in Gaza amid Israel's relentless bombardment. Hamas has released 2 Israeli women amid growing pressure to secure the release of hundreds of hostages taken by them. They were the 3rd and 4th hostages to be released out of the 200 captured. The Israeli Prime Minister's office, meanwhile, issued a statement confirming that the women were handed over to the Israeli military and would be taken to a medical facility. However, the Israeli Chief of Staff soon issued a statement suggesting that Israel had no intention of curbing its strikes on the densely populated Gaza Strip and hinting that it was well prepared for a ground assault. The U.S. has emphasized its priorities for negotiations to free other hostages. The United Nations World Food Programme says that more than 40 trucks are waiting by the border between Egypt and Gaza and are prepared to enter anytime. The World Food Programme distributed canned fish and other food supplies as a 3rd convoy of 8 trucks was allowed into the Rafah crossing. Humanitarian deliveries through Rafah began on Saturday. Rafah is the main crossing in and out of Gaza that does not border Israel, since Israel has imposed a total siege of the enclave in retaliation for an attack by Hamas militants. Rafah has become the focus of efforts to deliver aid. UN officials say about 100 trucks would be needed daily to meet the essential needs in Gaza, which is home to 2.3 million people. The United Nations says that almost 20,000 people have been internally displaced in South Lebanon. This comes as violence escalates on the Lebanese-Israeli border following the eruption of the Israel-Gaza war. The International Organization for Migration says 19,646 people have been displaced inside Lebanon since it began tracking movements after the conflict started. It said the movements were mostly by those fleeing the south of Lebanon, while some people have also moved from other areas. The heavily armed Hezbollah group and Israel have been exchanging fire on an increasingly frequent basis along the border in the worst escalation since the two sides fought a war in 2006.
Fires blazing on the border between Israel and
Israel's military said it was preparing for unrelenting attacks to dismantle Hamas, while the former U.S. President Barack Obama has warned that any Israeli military strategy that ignores the human costs could ultimately backfire. The Palestinian Health Ministry has said the Gaza death toll had topped 5,000 in 2 weeks of Israeli airstrikes, while the death toll on the Israeli side hovers at around 1,400. In public, the United States has stressed Israel's right to defend itself. Former U.S. President Obama issued a written statement warning Israel not to cause so many civilian casualties in retaliating against Hamas that it would alienate generations of Palestinians. Israel's police and their domestic intelligence unit have released footage from their interrogations of captured Hamas gunmen who took part in the October 7 rampage. In the video clips, one handcuffed Hamas man sitting beside a desk is heard describing the orders that they received regarding Israeli civilians to kill the men and bring the women, children and elderly as hostages. Another, with an injury on his face, has said that they were told their price for bringing captives would be a new home and $10,000. However, media agencies were unable to verify this video or whether the individuals in it were speaking under duress. British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has said that the explosion at a hospital in Gaza City was most likely caused by a missile fired from within Gaza and not by a rocket from Israel. Palestinian officials said 471 people were killed in the blast at Al Ahli Al Arabi Hospital on Tuesday. Gaza's health ministry has blamed an Israeli airstrike, while Israel said the blast was caused by a failed rocket launch by militants. Britain's findings are in line with the conclusion reached by the US, France and Canada. Sunak also set out further aid for the Palestinian people, saying that the government would provide an additional $24.4 million. In a significant development, the foreign ministers of Armenia and Azerbaijan recently held their first talks since Azerbaijan gained control over the disputed territory of Nagorno-Karabakh. And in response to the meet, Russia also talked about how the main territorial issue between the two nations has been settled. The meeting took place in Iran and was attended by ministers from Turkey as well. The discussions aimed at resolving the conflict and laying the groundwork for a peace treaty. As per reports, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov stated that the main issue of Karabakh status had been settled, with both sides agreeing that it belongs to Azerbaijan. The joint statement released after the meeting emphasized on the importance of respecting the territorial integrity of the countries in the region.